Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda.
Mr. President, I move the board approve the May 9, 2022 agenda.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Next we'll have report of the board members.
Mr. President, so I have kind of a story to tell that I just wanted to brag on our district about. I've been finishing up school, and while I've been at school at Mid-American Nazarene University, I'm doing the tutoring for the Academic Success Program. And so this, as we hit finals and everything, of course, all the students come in, right, for help. And it was my pleasure to get to help a freshman that was a Raytown High graduate from last year. And I'm not going to cry, but I'm probably going to cry. It was so neat to see our work in action out in the real world and see how great of a writer she was from the base that she got at our school. And so, anyways, it was really cool.
Anyone else?
It was a treat to go to the, oh, do I need my mic? I have teacher voice. So it was a treat to go to our theater arts banquets and to be able to see all of our talented students at Raytown High. And then to just see how our district gives back to our students with the senior awards night with REF. And I believe, you know, with the combination of those foundational awards, we had the Casey Scholars, we had like our Grow Your Own programs, and plus what the students also received from their different colleges, we had over $300,000 that they received collectively from their schools. And just to be able to experience and see some of our retirees, our teachers, our administrators who give so tirelessly to this district, to know that we have people that have been in this district 18 years plus. It was impressive. So I just was in awe of the hard work of our students, our teachers, administrators, superintendent, to name a few.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Next we'll have the report of the superintendent, legislative update.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it is the last week of session, and this is, if you have nothing better to do, you can actually listen to the last week of session, and you get some really good material for the next year that you can use, because they're going at it back and forth over, they're filibustering one bill. This is where we really got to pay attention this week, is because all these bills that didn't get across the finish line are coming together in what they call omnibus bills, or bills that have looked like they have no life are resurrected in the last week when somebody's not watching. And it's such a rush and a panic they can get things through. So we'll continue to watch that. The biggest thing that it's been a pretty quiet year for us in education. There's been some things out there, but thankfully the redistricting for congressional maps caused a delay. Philosophical differences, like every year, cause delays, particularly in the Senate. So we've been pretty fortunate, but again, this week we need to watch. Last Friday, they sent a budget bill to the governor's desk to be signed. No increases in the foundation formula, but something we haven't seen in my 21 years of being a superintendent of schools is fully funding the transportation formula. That has never happened in my tenure for 20-some years. Now, what does that mean? Well, they'll tell you we're just going to do it once. That's what they said, which is only one time. But that's a big deal. All allowable expenses and transportation are reimbursed when in prior years, you think about the number, let's say we spend $1 million roughly in transportation. We were only getting 18% back of that, or funding of that, and it should be 100%. So, fully funded in 1 year, that's a big help for us. So that's a good thing. And then really, again, nothing, very, very quiet, so to speak. It's an election year, okay? It's a midterm election year. You're really going to start to see the campaigns heating up. You see those that are running for the Senate are starting to come after each other a little bit. And some of the, you watch that late night TV like I do at times, and you get to see the political campaigns, which sometimes can be amusing. They're starting to ramp it up. So pay attention. Pay attention on what the issues are coming forth. So, and with that, that's really all we have for any questions on the legislative side. Okay. All right, dropping down to 8.8, the FY23 preliminary budget. Any questions we can answer for you there? Dr. Sheldon, you want to comment on that?
I do. Kevin, you would please pull up the document. Go to page 8.
Oh, it's over there. I kept expecting something from here to drop down.
So this is the preliminary budget. We will bring this budget back to the board again in June. So we have the Finance Committee meeting in June. We'll bring it back to the Finance Committee meeting in June. And then on June 27th, we'll have the budget hearing. So this budget is built on the very best information we have as of today. And you can see there are a couple different ways to look at budgets. This is kind of through the lens of an accountant. We think about funds 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fund 1, you can see that we're starting the year with about 29 next year. We're going to anticipate starting the year with about $29.6 million in reserves or balances. We're budgeting about 57 million in revenue. And if you combine those two, it's about $83 million of available resources and funds in Fund 1 to spend on Fund 1 expenditures. We're budgeting about $57 million in expenditures in Fund 1. And you can see as you work down a little bit lower, we're anticipating transferring about $7.8 million out of Fund 1. Some of that will go into Fund 2 to balance the teacher fund. And $3 million of that will be transferred into Fund 4 to address our capital improvement and our capital equipment needs. That will take our balances from that 28 million, make sure I'm looking at that number correctly. From 26 million down to 17.7 million. And so you can see that we have a pretty significant drop in our Fund 1 balances based on this budget. In Fund 2, we start the year with about $420,000 in balances. We anticipate $63.2 million in revenues for a total of $63.6 million of available funds for expenditure in that fund. We're budgeting $68 million in expenditures, with about $4.8 million transferred from Fund 1 into Fund 2 to help balance Fund 2. In Fund 3, that's our debt service budget. This is where we pay for our long-term and short-term debt. We anticipate beginning the year with $8.6 million in balances. We anticipate bringing in $10.5 million in revenue for a total of $19.1 million of available funds for debt service payments. We're budgeting $8.7 million in debt service payments, and we will anticipate ending the year with $10.3 million in our Fund 3 balances. Fund 4, we're going to begin the year with $22 million, 22.9, bring in about 1.4 in revenue. We're budgeting, that gives us a total available amount of funds of $24.3 million. We're budgeting $12.5 million in capital improvement and equipment. That's both restricted and unrestricted. Also, we're budgeting $3 million transfer from Fund 1. That will allow us to end the year with $14.7 million, $14.8 million in balances. 10.5 or 10.6 of that is bond funds. Any questions about the FY23 preliminary budget? Before I go on, there's one more page I want to take.
So fully funding the transportation, did you change any of those numbers for that?
That's not in here, and so to Dr. Markley's point, that will add about $1.7 million. As we look at the preliminary numbers, we will budget $2.5 million instead of $800,000 in revenue. So it's an increase of about $1.7 million that we're budgeting for next year. Those numbers are not reflected here, though. If you would, turn to page 17. So one thing we do is try to forecast out. And we need to be good stewards of the resources we have. And we not only take a look at what we're budgeting for next year, but how that impacts the years to come. We have a board policy that states that we would stay at that 15% level in operating balances. Based on the assumptions that I've built into our forecast, we would need to close a gap that we have between revenue and expenses. And as I project out, in FY24, we have about a $10.7 million gap in revenues and expenses to maintain that 15% in balances. So how do we close that gap? There are two ways. We increase revenue, or we decrease expenses, or a combination of both. Some things that we've done in the past to do that: we have transferred debt service levy over to operating levy. The last time we did that, that generated about $4.5 million. That's something we can do to close that gap. And then, this district from time to time has had to reduce expenditures, and we have found ways to do that through different means. So looking forward, that's something we're going to need to do in 24. 25, FY25, to maintain those 3%, the 15% balances. I anticipate us needing to close a gap of about $3 million. And then in FY26 of about $500,000. These assumptions, and there's a lot of assumptions in here that we have to make. But these assumptions take into account a decline in enrollment that we've been facing over the last few years. It's also assuming no step increase or no pay increase. And let me just say, I know this has been a big topic. By no means are these projections intended to say that's a recommendation. That's just building a forecast on assumptions. I could have put a step into each of those years. I could have added money to the base of each of those years. I could have done a lot, but I had to do something. And so I just decided this is the assumption that I'm going to make, just so we can have numbers that we can deal with. I will say that any money we do add to payroll and benefits or any other expenses, that's going to add to that gap that we have to account for in revenue and expenses. So as I said, we will come back in June with the Finance Committee for an updated budget. Mr. Moore, you'll see that those transportation funds in here, and then we have the budget hearing at the end of June. Along with other things in the document, this budget document, you'll see the debt service schedule, you'll see capital improvement and equipment needs that we anticipate having for FY23.
8.9, our summer school update. Dr. Mixon? Is Lynn here tonight?
He's not here tonight. I can answer any questions that you might have. It really just has the dates there as well as some preliminary numbers. It is looking like we're going to have an increase in number of participants over the last couple of years, so it's looking pretty strong right now.
Numbers I saw a couple weeks ago were about 1,400 more than we had this time last year.
About 11% over last year, about 22% over 19, which was our last really year.
Good. Very good. Well, I saw Mr. Husted in here somewhere. There it is. You're slouching. I can see. Would you talk about 8.1 for us, the collapsed sanitary line at Raytown South?
Sure, South Middle School, when you walk in the main hallway, there's a sanitary line that catches one bank of bathrooms, a teacher's bathroom, a speech path bathroom, and a nurse's bathroom. That line is collapsed and so we have to go in and put a new line in. Worked with Dr. Calcara to see what he would rather do as far as disruption to school. We are hosting summer school there. We decided that we can work around those banks of bathrooms by using the variety of other bathrooms in the building, and we'll get on that at the 1st of July and have it back and repaired before kids come back in August.
Questions? Thank you. 8.11, you see the dates for the board meetings, the PTA area council meetings for next year. So you might take them onto your calendar. And the report we've been waiting for, ladies, 8.12, the floor is yours. Raytown South first.
My name is Paisley Rogers. I'm the president for Raytown South Student Council. And we have a state qualifier for golf. His name is Andrew Porter. And then we had 4 kids win the $550,000 scholarship for KC Scholars. They were Callie Ellis, Tatiana Midget, Amaya Tillman, and Skylar Lee. And on the behalf of the Raytown South High School seniors, we are thankful for the REF and the seniors getting the computers back at the end of the year.
Hello everyone, I'm Amaya Morgan from Raytown High School. I'm the current vice president and now officially the student body president for next year. And I know last time I talked about Hunger Games, and if you don't know what Hunger Games is, it's a community service event that Raytown High School puts on that's supposed to be a district-wide event. We try to get all the schools involved with it. This time around we got New Trails involved with it, which we did not expect, but they did email us to get it. We raised almost total of 24,000 food donations for REAP, and the highest schools were Raytown High School and Robinson and Eastwood Hills. And the thing about it is that's the highest amount we've ever gotten. Like anytime we've done Hunger Games, and we did so well that we filled REAP shelves, and now we have to take our remaining amount to harvesters. So that is a really, really good opportunity for all of us. And also, we talked about prom last time. Prom went really well. We had this beautiful venue. Everybody was so excited, and everybody looked so good. It was really good. And sports are closing out. Seniors are leaving. Finals week. That's mostly what's going on right now at the school. It's just finals week. People are ready to go. Things like that. So yeah, that's what's going on. Thank you.
Any questions for the ladies?
I notice how they get applause at the end of their reports.
Sure. And I'm okay with that, and I want them to know, I was talking to some Truman Patriot golfers the other day, because I was on the golf course, and they graduate on the 28th, and they're seniors. You know when their last day is? The 27th. So there may, I thought we amended the agenda to move the seniors' last day. Is that not on there? No. Oh. That's all we have, Mr. President.
All right. we'll have our presentations, recognitions. The Noah Fulkerson, Brenda Yeats, Coral Room recognition.
Okay, so because you're still getting the B team, I forgot about Did You Know, so we're gonna go over Did You Know real fast, if that's okay. This month, I've featured our FBLA National Qualifier from Raytown South High School, Nate Osiak, who qualified for the national contest in Chicago in late June. He scored first in the state competition in the journalism category. There were 3 other students placed in the top 5 in the state competition, and then also Raytown High School had a student participate in the state competition as well. College Day, one of my favorites, 14 universities, colleges, or trade schools visited Eastwood Hills students at their annual College Day. The photo there is of Nate Zier from Hernan Career Center as he presents to some students at Eastwood Hills and promotes Hernan to them. Students have the opportunity to ask questions and learn more about educational opportunities available to them after they leave Raytown. Friend of the Library Award, library clerk at Robinson Elementary, Jody Scroggins is the recipient of the Greater Kansas City Association of School Librarians Friend of the Library Award. Jody was honored for exemplary service to the library at the annual banquet for that organization. And food distribution, I usually share this every other month sporadically, but I've got some stats this month, so I thought I'd share. Dr. Cordell helped me out with this. In April, 22,000 pounds of food were distributed with the help of 40 volunteers to 218 cars and 600 families in the monthly food distribution. This is a partnership with the Raytown Sisters in Christ. Mrs. Carolyn Whitney helps with that, along with Dr. Cordell. He helps organize a lot of that. And our May distribution is May 21st from 10 to 11:30 a.m. They are always looking for volunteers. We usually try to share that on the Facebook page, but some amazing stats there, families served. And then our top techs, the Raytown School District Technology Department Repair Team received the Lenovo Outstanding Service Reward for warranty and self-maintenance for the 5th year in a row. This award is presented to the top 10% of in-house repair shops in the United States for accuracy, timeliness, and in 2021, the team repaired more than 2,740 devices. I think Matt Verlinden is here in the audience, and he helped pull those stats for us, so thank you, Matt. Okay. So I first want to say congratulations to Bobby Salisbury on her completion of her MSBA refresher training course. Congrats, Bobby. So our I've got our Miss Amaya's not done yet. She's got to come back up here. But tonight we're going to honor the Honor Council Committee of Missouri Association of Student Councils, announce Raytown High School as a student council as one of their Gold Honor Council Award recipients. And so Amaya and have Elizabeth Stegner, they're both going to come up, and they're going to share a little bit more about that award, and then going to have their advisor, Jordan Jamerson, come up here as well. Come on up. Okay, and you guys can split up these questions, but tell me a little bit about what it took to get the award, what you all had to do, because I know you guys were big in the application process. And what things did you include in the application?
Can I take this? Yeah. So basically with MASC, they encourage to do things also inside of REALMS, which stands for Recreation, Education, Appreciation, Leadership, something with an M, service. And so when we're doing the application, we have to find things that fit these different sections, and it can include this year, last year. So we included something we did at the beginning of this year was start a clothing closet in our school. So it includes like business casual clothes for students who need to do interviews and internships and things like that, and they can't really afford that kind of stuff. So they can go down to our clothing closet, and there's all these free clothes with them. So we did that at the beginning of the year. Last year we did a women's shelter drive where we got a whole bunch of we stood outside the school for maybe like 9 hours and donated, people were donating all this stuff. And then we did things like art assemblies, and then also spirit weeks and things like that. So you have to fit all these different categories, and we're just finding different stuff and then different paperwork and things like that to fit inside of that.
Awesome. Elizabeth, do you want to add anything?
That's really good.
Tell us a little bit about what you did at the conference.
She was
Well, these two were instrumental in their application process. It's for that honor, and only 54 student councils in the whole state received this honor, so that's a big deal. Congratulations. All right, tonight we also have a state champion in our presence, so I'm going to have Zeus Deluge come up and join me. Is a state poetry champion, and yes, congratulations. And I put him on the spot a little earlier. He's supposed to try and tell us how many he thinks he competed against at the state competition.
All right, I'm gonna say maybe 25 tops. It was a small event.
That's a big deal. It's a big deal. And tonight he is going to do a little bit, not the whole thing, but a portion of his actual poetry reading for us all. So.
Do I have to use this, or can I just like kind of scream at everybody?
Oh,
fantastic.
You gonna take front and center?
Zeus's advisor, Maureen Woods Thomas, is also here this morning, so. Wave. There she is.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do at this point will not really matter because your skin color has already confessed to the crime. You have the right to an attorney who will try his hardest to see that justice is served, but a jury of your peers, aka our attorneys, will have him outmatched 12-1. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you free of charge because he is also on our payroll. Do you understand these rights? As they have been read to you. Whoa, 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 don't move. I see you reaching for your 9mm wallet. I see you reaching for your .38 caliber inhaler. Whoa, I said don't move. Stop breathing. You're puffing up your chest. I feel threatened. Stop resisting arrest. Is that a weapon? Lay down. No, no, face down. No, face ground. Bang, pow. Oops, I did it again. I'm a pop star. No, I'm a pop star. No, I'm a cop star. No, by the time I get back to the precinct, I will be a rock star. Platform, I got more trophies with black names on them than BET award winners. Platform, I will probably be honored at the NYPD award dinner. Platform, they are going to throw me a parade. Platform, because when I platform, they go to the grave. Thank you.
Zeus, do you want to share any future plans with us?
Honestly, my goal is to focus on scholarships and hopefully get into NEC, pursue vocal performance.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. Okay, I have some honorees here, and I don't think they quite, did they make it? Okay. Our culinary team is fresh off the plane, and they have made it this evening to be recognized. So it was tight, but they made it. So they're, Dr. Eichert's going to get them now. Yes, thank you, Dr. Tonight, straight from Washington, D.C., we have our Hernan Career Center Culinary and Culinary Management students, along with Chef Mike Mostowski. Both Hernan Culinary and Culinary Management represented the state of Missouri in the National Pro Star competition. That means they were first in the state. The culinary team placed third in the nation. pass the mic down, ending with chef. So if each of you could tell me your role in the team. So our culinary members, what part of, introduce yourself, tell us what part of the meal you're responsible for, and our management members, maybe what part of the presentation and organization of your management project you were responsible for. So start here, and chef, if you want to share any additional details from the competition, that would be great.
My name's Rachel Hartwig, and I worked on half of the entree, and I was the team lead.
My name's AJ, and I was the manager.
My name's Avery, and I finished the entree.
My name's Alex, and I did the appetizer.
I'm Hannah, and I did the dessert.
My name's Isabella, and I was manager of marketing. Hi, I'm Faustina. I was the team lead of management, and I was also in charge of customer service.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn, and I was head of back of the house. Hi, my name's Claire, and I was head of event planning.
And I'm Mike, I'm the chef. That's kind of how that boils down. But, we competed against 42 other states, well, 41 other states on the culinary side, 40 other states on the management side. And, the team represented well. Not only did they, finish well, 19th for management, 3rd in the nation for culinary. The accolades that we got off the floor on professionalism and just the way the team handled themselves, for me is priceless. And, that was almost as good as taking 3rd, so it's a bonus. I think all in all, we ended up, scholarships have really dropped, I think probably because of COVID type stuff and the recruiting tools that they're using, but all in all, each of the culinary teams were awarded about $45,000 each in scholarships.
And you may have, they are local celebrities. They were just featured on Fox 4 a couple meetings ago too, so great story there. I've got one more recognition this evening. Everybody I've recognized, if you would mind after we finish recognitions, coming out into the hallway so we can get photos. Mr. Billings will take those photos, and I do want to just do a quick shout out. This is John Billings' last board meeting. He's retiring at the end of May. And so I know most of you have either had a photo taken by John, had John send you photos along the way, or done a video with John, or something along those lines. So just wanted to throw that out there too. Okay, so for tonight's last recognition, we are going to honor Ms. Freddy Gates and Mr. Noel Fulkerson, and we are going to announce the naming of the Noel Fulkerson Freddy Gates Choral Room. So I had Mr. Alex Colster share a few stats with me about both Brenda and Noel, and so I'm going to share those with you all this evening, and then I'd love for both of you to come up, if you don't mind. So first, Brenda Gates. Growing up in Raytown and graduating from Raytown High School in 1975, Brenda Gates has been an accompanist at Raytown High School for nearly 4 decades and will retire after the 2021-2022 school year after serving for 39 years as the accompanist. She has also served as the accompanist at Sterling Acres Baptist Church for 3 decades, as well as the Raytown Community Choir and the Kansas City Metro Men's Chorus. Brenda is an accomplished accompanist, pianist, and singer, and in 2011, Brenda was awarded the Support Staff of the Year Award at Raytown High School. She and her husband Tom are proud parents of 2 and grandparents of 3 adorable grandchildren. You know the 3 are really what matters, so yes. And Noel Fulkerson possesses a stellar resume, spanning many years of experience in the vocal and choral fields. He was selected to the Missouri Music Educators Hall of Fame, as well as being the recipient of the MCDA Luther T. Spade Award, MCDA Jeff Sandquist Presidential Award for Excellence, Music Alumni of the Year from Central Missouri State University, and Teacher of the Year Award in Raytown. He led in the founding of the Missouri All-State Choir and in the MCDA Summer Convention. Noel has served as president of the Missouri Music Educators Association, Missouri Choral Directors Association, and Southwestern Division of American Choral Directors Association. His choral groups at Raytown have been invited to present concerts for members of the SWACDA, MMEA, and NAFME, formerly the MENC. He also directed all-state assemblies in Kansas and Iowa and served as a clinician and adjunct in Missouri, professor in Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. With a Bachelor of Music Education, Vocal and Instrumental, and Master of Arts in Music History from Central Missouri State University, Mr. Fulkerson currently serves as vocal instructor and director of the Kansas City Metro Men's Chorus. His studio voice students have gone on to professional singing careers and have enjoyed successes in collegiate and ATS competitions and Mission District and state festivals. Over 40 of his voice students have been chosen to be in the Missouri All-State Choir. Noel Fulkerson brings a high level of quality and expertise to whatever musical opportunity he engages in. In addition to teaching private voice lessons, he has assisted in doing clinics to prepare students for district and all-state honor choirs, and is also directing a high school chamber choir for the Missouri Music Arts Institute. Noel Fulkerson.
Well, okay. I wouldn't have this job without my dear friend. He was my teacher, and he had a lawnmower accident one year and cut the end of his finger. And so that's how I came to having a accompanist job at Raytown High School. And it has been an amazing, wonderful, wonderful time in my whole life. And I have a very supportive husband. So, okay. So anyway, when I came, my son was 18 months old, and he just turned 41. So I've seen a long time and many changes at Raytown High School, and I just, you know, I said at my retirement, I wish everybody could have a job that they questioned retiring from because you love it so much, and I still do. And it's been, you know, such a life-changing thing for me, and I'm very grateful and thankful.
Yeah, if I hadn't messed around with a lawnmower, we wouldn't have Brenda as long as we've had her. What's interesting is there was not any piano accompanist around in any school in the, to my knowledge, in the Kansas City area. And then this happened, and then everybody got them, so if you want to give a lawnmower accident any credit, that's where that came from. Well, I spent 35 years in the district a long time ago, and Terry and I kind of look at ourselves as a bridge between Ted Chitwood and J.R. Huckstep and all those people and what we have today. But I spent 35 wonderful years teaching junior high and then teaching high school. And the thing that the Raytown District gave me was permission. They gave me permission to be myself. And I'm very, very thankful for that. In this day and age, I probably would have been fired. But that's still okay. In those days, things were not quite as regimented, and I was allowed to be myself. And I'm very thankful for that. Because lots of these things that happened in my career wouldn't have happened if I had been in any other area. So I was in the right place, and I'm thankful for that. I've been surrounded with people like Brenda for years and years and years. And I want you to know, with all the work that I've done out of state and in state, there's only one accompanist that I take with me when I would do a workshop. And it's this lady here, because she's the ultimate professional as an accompanist. And she's bailed me out many times that I want to mention. Not only musical, but personally. One quick story. When I retired in 1998, they held a party for me at the Arliss Auditorium. And one of our dear friends, Tom Scahill, put together a biting, but yet brilliant satire on my career. And he told me just this weekend that When he rehearsed it, he thought it was going to die on the vine. But he said who saved it was Brenda Yates, because she kept playing the piano and kept saying, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. And I think that's the mark of her. Anybody who works with her has great confidence that we can go ahead and be successful. She is my good friend, and she is a friend of anybody who knows her. And we're so lucky, and you were so lucky to have her for 39 years. I hope that you will also understand that when her name goes on that choral room plaque or whatever, she probably is the first non-teacher whose name is on that plaque. Let me tell you, she's there for a reason, because she deserves every bit of it. Thank you again very much.
Congratulations to you both. I just want to say as we wrap up, this spring has been extremely award heavy. I don't have exact stats, but I'll get them for the next board meeting between local, state, regional, and national awards. This has really been a big year for all of us. So congratulations.
I'm surprised you didn't have us sing the song that you always end your concerts with.
Well, we can do that.
I'm not gonna sing, but anyway, I mean,
Mr. Landers is known for his singing talent.
in the shower only.
And as I do all my people, I give them 30 minutes and I can teach them to sing. Well, it's going to take longer for Terry. But that's the way it goes.
Thank you very much. It was great, all the awards and recognitions. Next, we'll have our public comment period. So we have 10 people who have signed up to speak to an item on the agenda. Since there is more than 6, the 5 minutes that we normally get for under 6 will take 3 minutes. Each person gets 3 minutes for one appearance. Speakers will not be allowed to participate in gossip or make defamatory comments or use abusive or vulgar language. Other than names, positions, salaries, and length of service, information pertaining to individual employees and any identifiable information regarding students is considered confidential, closed information, and speakers are not permitted to discuss such information in an open session. Any violation of the rules for public comment will result in the forfeiture of that speaker's remaining time. I'll call out each person who's come up. Our first person is Marie Tracy.
Good evening. Can you hear me? My name is Marie Tracy. I'm the president of Raytown NEA, a professional organization that represents 200 district employees. I'm speaking about item 12.1, Rate Team salary recommendations. Raytown NEA enthusiastically supports Rate Team's collaboration as a representative body of district employees. We stand by Rate Team's recommendations regarding salary charts and salary movement, including restoring 2 steps to previously frozen certified and classified employees. These crucial moves, including making progress toward compensating staff equitably for equal years of experience, which our neighboring districts have already put in motion, will help our students by supporting the retention of quality, experienced staff. We acknowledge and appreciate that the board has always listened to Rate Team's recommendations in the past, and that the board values the ideas that come from that collaborative body, and we look forward to you doing the same tonight. Furthermore, we encourage the board and admin to engage in ambitious and thoughtful study into running the district more efficiently while placing employee retention as a top priority. We firmly believe that any feared budget shortfalls of the future can be accommodated with careful preparation that preserves staff pay, just as the board referred to and your encouraging staff appreciation email last week. Retaining quality staff is the best thing we can do for students. Meaningful relationships leave an impact on our students and help them gain the skills they need, more than any material item. Retention of quality staff is one of the most beneficial things the district can do for students, and we appreciate your creativity and open-mindedness as we strive to retain staff during this difficult season. We look forward to seeing loyalty and longevity in the district be valued and equitably compensated, and we appreciate your respect for our perspectives. Thank you. I know these are not easy decisions, and I appreciate all you do.
Next we'll have Jenna Atkins.
Might used to be in second alphabetically, I think, go first.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Atkins, and I've worked in the Raytown District for 13 years. I'm speaking about item 12.1, the Ray Team salary proposal. I appreciate that the board has always listened to Ray Team's recommendations in the past and values the collaboration and input of Ray Team. Thank you for continuing to listen to Ray Team's recommendations tonight, which I support. I trust the board to consider Ray Team's recommendations thoughtfully. For the past 5 years, I have served on the Missouri Advisory Committee for the Certification of Educators. I sit in a room with approximately 15 other people 4 times a year and address what we need to do to certify educators to have quality staff in Missouri. Our conversations have shifted from what do we need to have quality staff teaching our students in Missouri to what can we do to have enough staff to teach our students in Missouri. If you do not believe that we are facing a teacher shortage in this state, in this region, in this district, I am happy to provide you all of the data publicly available, as well as the meeting minutes from the meetings that I have sat on many, many times over the last 5 years. As I explained in my email to the board, the district has historically invested deeply in stuff for our students. However, no building, technology, or ball field can replace the value of an experienced, skilled teacher in the classroom. Implementing Ray Team's recommendations will benefit students. I encourage you to continue your practice and then follow the advice of our collaborative team. Thank you for all you do.
Next we'll have Carrie Plater.
Hello, I'm Carrie Plater, a 16-year veteran Raytown teacher. I've only taught here in Raytown. I even student taught Raytown. I'm here tonight to speak against implementing the Evergreen teacher salary schedule. This salary schedule does not reward longevity in our district. In fact, it actively works against it. I will use myself as an example. Next year will be my 17th year teaching here in Raytown, and I am currently paid on a step 11. If we implement the Evergreen pay and give one step, then next year I will receive a raise of $150. $150 in a year when inflation is 7%. I will only make $150 more. That is a pay cut. I have already sacrificed steps to stay in Raytown, and now you reward 17 years of love, energy, and dedication with $150 if you pass the Evergreen survey. Coming off one of the hardest school years I have ever had to teach in, this is not great. If you think I am alone, I am not. This will be the fate of most of your experienced teachers, whether they are new to the district or not, because of how the Evergreen setup is. You might like this plan because it costs less to implement a step each year, but that cost comes on the backs of your most experienced and educated teachers. Teachers we should be desperate to keep. Missouri had 1,100 fewer teacher candidates graduate this year. In a time when retaining teachers needs to be a top priority, retention will not come at $150. This, in combination with the missing steps, feels like I'm being asked to leave. I know this schedule looks appealing. However, the savings comes at that cost of your experienced teachers. The board is always looking at starting teacher salary, and at this time, I ask you to look at experienced teacher salary. Our buildings will not be successful without experienced teachers there to help the starting teachers. Long-term employees of Raytown are not asking for much. We are asking for what you give people you hire into the district. If our district needs to save money, taking dollars from the single commodity we need to teach kids is not the place to take it. We can't teach kids without teachers. And if we don't prove that teachers are important by paying them accordingly, we will not have enough of them. I ask the board to follow Rayteen's suggestions and keep the current salary schedule, give $500 to the base and a step, and give 2 steps back to long-term Raytown employees. I thank you for what you do, and I truly understand that no one signed up for the last 2 years as a school board member. So thank you for what you do, and I appreciate it, but I hope you hear me tonight.
Next, we'll have Bridget Pitts.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, board members. Some of you I know and some of you are new, and I welcome you, and I'm thankful that you are here. I am coming tonight wearing many hats. I'm president of the MSTA, so opposite of NEA, but we work very well together, because it really doesn't matter exactly what organization you're on. We're all teachers, we're all staff members, and this isn't just about teachers, this is about our district and our staff and our nurses and our custodians and our cafeteria staff and everybody that it takes to raise a child, because everybody is involved with the children of our school, no matter what your position is. I am a parent, I am a community member, and I am on my 20th year teaching here. I also student taught in the district as well. I didn't realize I was going to be emotional. Sorry, Beth.
It's in the air.
It is. And I can't talk about my kids, but I have 3 of them. Okay. I urge you to consider the Rayteam recommendation for our salary. Rayteam is made up of our community. It is made up of the community of teachers, administrators, certified, classified, MSTA, NEA, everybody. It's a collaboration of all of us, and they look at what is best for everybody, not just what is best for themselves. This Evergreen company that come in is not somebody that works in education. They don't know how children learn, they don't know how teachers teach, and they don't know what it does to make this thing. They're just looking at numbers, and they're not looking at the intricate details of how this is successful. I really feel that this could be a turning point in our district, and I've always felt that Raytown is one of those places we sit in the middle geographically where we could go one way or another, and our district has always kept trucking, as hard as it can be sometimes, towards that positive way. Is it like feeling going up a mountain? Yes. We could slide down a hill very quickly, and if we lose teachers, our new teachers that are coming in don't have veteran teachers to learn from. That's how new teachers become excellent teachers, is they learn from their mentors and their people around them. We learn from our students and we learn from our community. And this evergreen salary schedule, it does almost feel like we're being asked to leave. Like, thank you for your time, but you can go now. You know, I've lost 4 years on my salary freeze too, and I have no desire to leave. But I do have to think about my family and what's best for us as well. So I urge you to consider the Rayteam salary suggestion. And thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your service.
Next, we'll have Emily Hernan.
Hello, good evening. My name is Emily Hernan. This is my 5th year in the district, and Raytown is all I know as well. I haven't prepared anything like everybody else has, but I do strongly urge you to consider Rayteam and their salary proposal, because I'm getting married this year, I'm ready to start my family, and losing money is not something that I'm ready to do. Raytown means a lot to me, and it's where I started my career, and it's where I hope to end my career in several years down the road. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Leanne Bryant.
Good evening, my name is Leanne Bryant. I've been with Raytown for 11 years. I'm a SPED IA. at Northfleet. I'm also a single mom. And I stand up here tonight to support and ask you not to support the classified. Sorry, wasn't gonna cry, but I'm such a crier. Being a single mom, I have stayed with Raytown and stayed in my position, and I have made it work because I love this place so much. I love my job, I love my Amy, I love my kids. But being a classified staff, I know that this salary schedule will be detrimental to us. And I pray that you will not support it. And I ask that you please value not just the certified staff, but you will take consideration for us classified. Thank you very much.
Next we'll have Aaron Markusson.
Good evening, Raytown family, and I do use the word family. My name is Aaron Markusson. I am the PE elementary virtual guy for the district this year, and it has been a year, but I have loved every minute of it. This is my third district. I'm in my 9th year of teaching, and again, the first one here. First one is elementary, first year is PE, needed a change. I don't want to leave this place. I love it here. This place has I felt like family since day one. The first time Julie gave me a call and set up the interview, I thought to myself, I could stay here for a very long time and be very happy. So after looking at the Evergreen salary schedule and the ideas for freezing the veteran teacher pay at a certain point, I noticed it won't be too long and I'll be at the top of the salary schedule. And I'll be done. There's nowhere to go from there. And the problem is, with those of us that are becoming veteran teachers or are veteran teachers, there's a lot of education there. There's a lot of experience that you cannot replace by getting a new teacher right out of college. You can get them cheaper, but it's not going to be the same quality. So I urge you to consider Ray Team's ideas. From what I understand, you always listen to that and look into it. So I appreciate that, and I just ask that you do the same this evening. Thank you.
Next we'll have Linda Sharp.
Hello, my name is Linda Sharp. This is my 21st year teaching special education for Raytown. It's been the only district that I've been with since I was hired out of school. I am here to oppose the Evergreen proposal and to support Ray Team in their proposals. They've always had my back all 21 years that I've been here. I spent 5 years at Laurel Hills, 12 years at Spring Valley, 4 years between Northfleet and Fleet Ridge, and did K through 2 virtual for 3 quarters last year. So it's been a rough couple of years, but at 21 years, I'm staying for the kids. I'm not retiring yet, but with this new Evergreen proposal, it looks like I need to retire, and I don't want to. I want to be there for the kids. Thank you for considering the Ray Team proposal.
And last but not least is Kevin Bourne.
Hello, my name is Kevin Bourne. I work at Raytown South High School. I'm speaking on item 12.1. support of the grade team salary proposal. It's with a pretty profound disappointment and frustration I find myself here advocating for reasonable pay for one of the most undervalued beleaguered professions in both today. Salary schedules, as they're presented to prospective young teachers, represent an agreement between the district and the teacher regarding their future compensation for their efforts, but it has started to become clear that factors outside of teachers' control have superseded the necessity to pay them fairly for the entire duration of their career. Teachers in the district are asked to substitute teach during planning periods, drive buses, supervise students for long after the activity is ended, break up violent altercations in the hallways, sometimes withstanding verbal and sometimes even physical abuse. And now we're being asked to consider a schedule that shows little value for our years of service. So I've decided to speak tonight to reinstate a promise I sent to the school board via email, which is if this new evergreen schedule is adopted by the district, I will begin looking for a new job outside of Raytown that values loyalty and longevity. It's the only job I've had since being hired out of college. I'll also find it impossible to recommend Raytown schools as a spot for prospective new teachers who are starting their career. So I would ask the board to consider any decision that would drive away educators who are willing to stay here and contribute to the success of many of the kids we've seen tonight until retirement. Thank you very much.
That was our last comment. Next, we'll have the Finance Committee. I need a motion.
Mr. President, I move to accept the February 14th, 2022 Finance Committee minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Thank you, President Burke. You have the minutes from February. Also, you have the preliminary minutes from April. Those have not been approved by the Finance Committee. And I'm ready for any questions or any comments that we have.
Rick, do you have any?
I don't have any other comments. Probably the only thing I would add to this report and what you were saying earlier is we just have to keep in mind the ESSER funds have benefited us greatly. We're going to continue to go after all the ESSER funds that we can possibly get, but they're not going to continue forever. So they're benefiting us now. We're making good use of those funds, but they are going away at some point, and we have to make provision for that. So.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Motion passes. Next, we'll discuss the rating salary proposal.
We'll start with Matt, please.
I'm going to stand to the side because I have quite a few slides here, but I'll hustle to go through them. And really, I have 4 parts of the presentation today. I want to talk briefly about what we have set up currently, because I think there has been some confusion at some of our meetings on how we've set up our pay schedules. And then I'll talk about what Evergreen has decided to propose for the school district. I want to talk briefly about the placement process, and then I really want to finish it with some considerations about the process. And so, for starters, I want to talk about the certificated teacher salary schedule. And when you think about that, that is really the keystone salary schedule of all of the pay schedules in our school district. And that's because it represents more than just our teachers. Our librarians, our counselors, our admin interns, and our social workers really are paid with this salary schedule in mind. And so when we look at it, there really are 6 columns, with each column having 35 steps. Now, we don't post all 35 of those steps on the website when we display the salary schedule, but really there are 35 steps just because the board has offered go steps whenever there's been a step increase. And when we built this salary schedule many, many years ago, we really built it with two placements on the schedule in mind. It was the bachelor's step 1, and it was that master's degree in 48 hours, and it's step 22 in mind. And when you look at them, it was built that way because at that step 22, it's really double the salary at column 1, step 1. And that was kind of meant to kind of give the salary schedule structure, and to kind of more or less build in a little bit of a ceiling on these, all right? When you look at each step, they are separated by a flat dollar amount, okay? And there are two types of flat dollar amounts. For the bachelor's plus 16, and the master's, each step is the equivalent of $1,177, okay? Now when you get up to the master's plus 15, the master's plus 30, and the master's plus 48, those steps are then turned into $1,256. And that's throughout the entire salary schedule. And once again, that was designed to give structure and to make it very predictable, okay? The columns are kind of separated by varying percentages, and once again, this was kind of make it work. These percentages grow a little bit as you move down the salary schedule, and that was to encourage teachers going and getting additional education. Okay. When we look at the classified salary schedules, there are 38 columns and 32 steps for each one of our columns. Okay, right now the steps are at 1.5%. I believe there's going to be a move to make those 2% next year possibly. Okay, in between each column is 3%, and that's what gives this structure. So it's very predictable if you're trying to build this. All of the rates are hourly rates, and then we annualize them at the employee's pay record. And then finally, our administrator salary schedules. We have 20 different columns that our administrators might fall on. Okay? We are not consistent about the steps. There can be anywhere from 11 steps on those salary schedules to 35. Okay? And those steps kind of vary, where some of those steps are like that flat dollar amount, which is what we saw with our teachers, while others of those steps are actually a percentage increase. Okay? And so that's kind of proof that we've built those salary schedules over the last 10 years. All right? The salaries are all annualized on that salary schedule like our teachers, but they're kind of based on the number of days the administrator works, and that's why we have so many columns. Okay? When we look at what Evergreen's going to propose, it's going to look a little bit different. The first thing you'll notice is Evergreen is going to have a different number of steps on each one of those columns. All right? When I show you the salary schedules, they are hourly rates, but that's just so that they can make them comparable to what other school districts do. I believe when the district would want to post that salary schedule, if they went that direction, they would probably be annualized on the website. Okay? When you look at it, they did start all of our columns at the same salary. But where it's different is those steps are now a percentage, and it depends on which column. The percentages are a little bit different. Okay? And I'm going to say, if the board were to adopt this, I do believe we need to fix the master's and the master's plus 15, and I'll show you why here in a second. Okay? And there's what Evergreen has proposed. Okay? And when you look at it, grade 201 is really the bachelor's column that what we recognize. And you'll see that that's the column that would have the 2.6% steps. Okay, and then on down the line, and obviously then 206 is our master's plus 48. And that would then have the 2% steps. So it's all about what column you're in, is what percent those steps are on this new proposed certificated teacher salary schedule. Okay. And this is, I admit this looks a little bit clunky, but then I kind of flipped it to the way we recognize it, which there's those vertical looks on those columns. And if you look at those highlighted areas, I do think that is the area that we want to address as a school district if we go this route. And that's because if you look at 203, which is a representation of our master's teacher, at step 19 and 20, and compare it to column 204 at 19 and 20, and 204 would be that master's plus 15, the rates are a touch higher on that master's column. So certainly something to be aware of. If we do go this route, we are going to probably have to do some work on it ahead of time. When we go to the classified salary schedules, it'll look familiar but not quite the same. And so they're proposing 27 columns and 30 steps. So they're actually shrinking the number of columns we have, but then when you look at them, they are proposing that 2% steps to the classified salary schedule, but then the columns are just spread out a little bit more, okay? And obviously, these would be represented as an hourly rate and probably stay that way. And this is kind of a lot, but I felt like if I'm going to show the teacher and the administrator, well, I'll show the classified, and that's kind of that same look. And you can see their step progression is that 2%, and then obviously those would be what the columns would start at. Okay, and then finally, our administrator salary schedules. They are recommending a 20-column salary schedule with 30 steps. So it would be adding some order to administrative salary schedules. They are recommending that 2% step on this one, but they're separating the columns by 5%. Okay, and like our teacher salary schedule, when you look at it, it is going to be hourly rates. And of course, when we were going to, if we were to post these and we go this route, we would probably annualize those because once again, those are salaried positions. And so this is what it would look like. And so what it would mean is our administrative salary schedule would look a lot like what our classified salary schedule is. But it would, like I said, it would then be annualized. And so when you start to compare things, and what I tried to do is I stuck to comparing the two salary schedules we have right now, because I didn't think this was important. And I'm going to focus first of all on the certificated salary schedule. And the first thing that was quite striking is Evergreen's recommendation is to have those ceilings on the salary schedule, or in essence, places on the salary schedule where you cannot advance with more steps. Now, of course, that's what Evergreen's proposing. That doesn't mean that the board couldn't choose to do ghost steps. This is just what Evergreen's choosing. Okay? But if you institute those ceilings, we would be removing steps from all of our teacher columns. The other thing that was noticeable quite right away is when I compared cell to cell, or each one of the cells, and there are 121 different placements on this proposed salary schedule. Roughly 73% of them would be lower on the Evergreen salary schedule. Okay, and what I'm saying is, out of the 121, 88 would be lower. And they average about being $250 lower, but it can the difference can be as big as $1,500 lower. But some of these are going to be a little bit higher with the way they built this. When you look at the classified salary schedules, it looks a little bit different, and this was a little bit trickier to compare. And part of it is they are going to reduce the number of columns. And so what I focused more on when I was comparing these was the idea that we have 104 different job duties that they have placed on our salary schedule. Okay? And the first thing that was quite striking is these comparisons were based on a 1.5% step. And I know there's a lot of discussion potentially in the future about 2% steps on the salary schedules, and they did not take that into account with Evergreen. Okay? But the first thing to note is of the 104 different job duties, 38 of them would have a higher step 1. Okay? Which means that quite a few of them actually will have a lower step 1. But on the other end of it, 100% of those job duties would have the ability to grow to a higher salary schedule at the top of the salary schedule. Okay? And I tried to add just kind of a little bit of a range on that. You can see that the step 1 max increase, there is a salary schedule that would see a $4.10 raise on their step 1. But there are some decreases, and when you look at it, there is a step 1 that would actually go down by $2.54 per hour. Okay, and then the same kind of thing happened at the top of the salary schedule. The biggest increase we saw at the top of the salary schedule was $11.09 an hour. Okay, and then the smallest increase that somebody could potentially realize with these salary schedules is 55 cents. And so now real quickly with administrators, once again, it was very challenging to make this comparison, okay? Because we don't really have, we're moving from individual columns to kind of like what I would say is like a matrix of salaries. But I did the same thing that we did with the classified. I really focused on the job duties. And so they have 36 different administrator job duties that we place on our administrator salary schedules. And of them, 2/3 of them will see a higher step 1, okay? And correspondingly, 2/3 of them will also have the ability to grow to a higher salary at the top of the salary schedule. Now, in this one, some of these differences were quite striking, in my opinion. And you do see that one of our the max increase we saw with the step one growing was $12.14, okay? But in the same kind of breath, we do see one salary that would go down by $1.25 at that step one. And then when you look at the top of the salary schedules, once again, quite striking, one of them has the potential to grow $39.14 higher than what they would on the current administrative salary schedules. But then we see that there are some of those administrative salary schedules that don't have as much to grow. Okay? The next part is I really do want to talk in a little bit of detail about their step plus one process. And if you remember the presentation they had back in March, that was one of the processes that they gave us a kind of an estimate on how much it would cost. And this was one of the processes that employees maintained the step they were on. Okay, and so what they did was every employee was moved to the new salary schedule with the current step they have. And then they added a step. Okay? And that's all pretty straightforward, but this is the detail I really kind of want to focus on. They then compared that new rate that an employee would get to what they're making this year. Okay? So it's a comparison of what you could make on the salary schedule plus a step with what you make right now. Okay? If obviously that salary was greater than or equal to it, of course you stayed on that step. All right? If it was less than though, then obviously the process was to keep granting steps until you found a spot where there would be a slight increase. Okay? And then the final note to just pay attention to is there were some teachers in particular that they couldn't find a spot on the salary schedule for them. And so that group of teachers would just stay at their current salary if we went with, obviously, their placement. And so this is just the numbers, and really this is designed to just show the impact of this process. Meaning there's not a uniform % increase for all of our staff members. Okay? It's varied. And I'll draw your attention to the bottom left. There would be 21 employees, if we went true to their process, that would realize a 0% increase. They would basically keep their salary in place. Okay? But like I said, it is a little all over the place. And then the final thing is, there was a question about, what does this mean long term? Or for maybe the next 5 years. And my analysis was really focused on the teacher salary schedule because it was going to be quite challenging to do this analysis on our classified or administrator, but if need be, we'll do it. The big key is I focused on the evergreen salary schedule. Okay? And everything was focused on the 121 placements on the evergreen salary schedule. And what I did was I took each placement and added up what they had the ability to earn over the next 5 years if there was a step awarded. Okay? The big key is I did maintain their ceilings. I stayed very true to what their process was. So if somebody was at the top of the salary schedule, they would continue to make the same salary. And when I did that, really 93 of the 121 possible placements on the evergreen salary schedule would make less money over the next 5 years if steps were given each year, and obviously if the ceilings were in place. And that's just a representation, and I'll kind of draw your attention to that kind of middle stripe where it actually looks favorable. That is the column that I do think we would need to adjust. And so I don't know if that might be a little bit of a false positive there. That's really the presentation I had. Like I said, this is very top level, but there's a lot to these salary schedules and a lot to these moves, and I wanted to make sure that we at least talked about some of the details. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the process or about the information presented.
Can you go back to the next to last slide? The one before that. The one before that. wait, stop. No, there it is.
This one?
Yeah. The last bullet, I like this one. I guess would increase less, right? Would make less money.
Yeah, correct, meaning if they stayed on the original salary schedule, they'd have the potential to make more over those 5 years.
And the one caveat too is if steps are given each year.
Correct.
Okay. And then, but some of the, what was the number for the number of columns that actually had a higher pay than what we currently have now?
Sure. So there would be 88 out of the 121 placements, so each individual sub.
That's lower.
Oh, I'm sorry, lower, I apologize, I'm sorry. 27% would actually, yeah.
27%.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat on that. That's assuming we leave masters exactly the way they have it, where I think there's that mistake at the bottom. So potentially that could change.
And isn't there a part of the plan that actually, when you said those placements, the placement slide, so someone, what is the maximum number of steps might someone be increased in just steps, not considering money? Is there an average of how many steps? I think when I heard the presentation before, it said there was a situation where somebody might be at step 5 and they would have to be placed on step 8.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but I'd say a majority of our staff would be able to land on the step they were given. But I think there was, about 50 to 60 that would have to get several steps in order to be being told.
And what was the number of, it was 21, was it 21?
Yeah, 21, they weren't able to find a spot on the salary schedule for them, correct.
21 that would not receive an increase at all?
Yeah, if we stayed true to their process,
If
yes.
we stayed true to their process. However, we wouldn't have to stay true to their process.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like I said, I went with what I saw on the paper.
Yeah. That's all my question.
Thank you for that presentation. You did a good job on that. Appreciate that.
So first of all, thanks for Matt for all the work he did. He came to a rate team meeting and really explained all this in depth for us for over 8 hours. And it's a lot to look at, probably more than we could have even done in the 8 hours we had. The recommendations for rate team, we would like to continue virtual conferences for pre-K to 12 being on a Wednesday night and all day Thursday, so that everybody's on the same schedule and people don't have to work Tuesday night, come to work, and then do a Thursday night, anything like that. We would like to continue to have 2 building subs per building, as we know that subs are a shortage. We would like IAs to have the ability to print from their device. I know that sounds really basic, but it's difficult when you're trying to print things for yourself or your students to have, and you don't have that, you have to send it to someone else, and then they have to take their time. Rate team recommends continuing to use the rate team model as an official negotiations team for the Raytown School District. As a note, it did show on here that classified should be moving to the 2% between all cells because it was approved by the board previously, it just was not implemented for whatever reason. So we'd like to at least acknowledge that tonight, that would you continue to support that? The salary schedule recommendations, rate team has studied all these salary schedules. We've been studying them for years. We've looked at ours, we've looked how to improve ours, and then we've really studied Evergreen in depth. When we looked at the salary schedules provided by Evergreen, Raytown recommends that we do not keep our, we keep our current salary schedule and that we do not move to the Evergreen schedule. We believe that the current schedules are more beneficial to the vast majority of district employees, to include those ghost stepping. So when people are talking about maybe it's detrimental to everybody, that's in that ghost stepping category. So one of the things that we really talked about in our meeting is if we have a 20-year secretary and her cap is 20 years and she's been here in her 21st year, to reward her for service, This schedule will tell her, no, thank you, you no longer get a raise. This will tell an IA at their cap, thank you for being an employee here, and at a certain point, we're not going to give you a raise. To us, we found that that was detrimental to people for longevity, and just doesn't show very much support for the staff. Rate Team does not recommend the implementation of the salary compensation study. The recommendation we're making to keep our current and add 500 to the base has a similar cost, yet provides more equitable compensation across the district as a whole. Thank you to the board members who came to our meeting. As you saw, Rate Team is very committed to advocate for all salary schedules and benefits for all employees. Rate Team acknowledges and appreciates the efforts the board have given and taken to renew staff morale and community pride in our school district. Rate Team would also like to acknowledge and appreciate the difficult decision the board is called upon to make, as well as the time it takes to deliberate for those decisions. Rate Team also shares the same goal with the Board of Education to attract and retain a quality staff for Raytown Quality Schools.
Part of the Board of Education goals is to attract, recruit, and retain high-quality staff. And we want to provide market-competitive schedules. We want to maintain appropriate class size and caseloads, promotion of continuous training and advanced degrees, not just among certificated staff, but look at classified as well. Racial equity among staff, workplace satisfaction and value. Why Evergreen does not meet those goals: it does not have the 2% salary increase for all cells. It will not maintain a positive staff morale. It will not benefit veteran staff. Our rationale: our Rate Team has always tried to be financially responsible with the information we have been provided. It does not align with Rate Team's work to support Board of Education goals. It is not equitable. The time frame has not allowed Rate Team to completely analyze all of the pluses and minuses of this proposal. And Rate Team can utilize information from the compensation study to make future modifications that would benefit all staff. Thank you for your time.
Any questions?
There's two recommendations on the course, the salary.
Oh. There is one other thing that was supposed to be on there. I'm sorry, today we had a little juggling. I didn't get it printed. One of the things that Rate Team would also like to ask is for the Board of Education to forgive the 4 snow days for all salary schedules, except the 248 and 260 calendars. I think that's admin. So the other calendars would be teachers, librarians, social workers. If you could please forgive those 4 days, that was also part of our presentation. Sorry.
That's the recommendation, not the one before?
Yes. That was slide as a recommendation.
This is the one that has all the salary implications or for money implications. They add $500, give a step. These are all the things that cost money. We put that slide on there for you guys to look at everything that would cost money. The next slide is the 4 recommendations that we are recommending for the board to take action on. But we put all of the information on the previous slide so that you would think, okay, all of these things cost money for that.
Mr. President.
Thanks.
So I first like to start by saying, you know, when you're a kid in a classroom and the teacher walks in, it's kind of scary. When 100 teachers walk in, that's really scary. But we appreciate you guys being here and showing, you know, your intense desire to serve this district and teach our kids, and especially Rate Team, all the work that you put in. And I've been to many of your meetings, and I know it's the best process, and I want us to continue that. I do want to just mention, you know, some comments kind of alluded to the fact that we always do what Rate Team says, and that's not quite, some kind of said that, not exactly what was said, but we always listen to Rate Team. We don't always do everything Rate Team says. Last year, we gave a 5.3%. If we had listened to Rate Team, that salary increase wouldn't have been that large. So we actually gave you a larger pay increase last year than Rate Team recommended. I think there's consensus on this board not to do the evergreen schedule at this time. So I think you guys will probably be... But we did have the study done, and we will continue to look at it. We have a new superintendent coming in. We're going to have a new director of finance. We owe it to ourselves and our patrons and to everybody to at least look at the study for another year to see, if there's any value to it. So we don't want to mislead you and say we're throwing it out and it's never going to come back again. So it's there. We want to, because like Matt, excellent presentation, but there's so much information. It cannot be just digested.
That was a discussion in Ray Team that we continue to look at what is good about their proposal for the next year, because there's so many pieces and parts of it. So it might be good for this group if we tweaked it a little bit, like for administrators. But did we feel like we wanted to make the salary caps on that go-stepping? That was where we were kind of getting iffy and didn't feel that was beneficial. So we knew in that last meeting that we had that we said this is going to take even the next year or maybe even 6 months after that to look at all those little details because there's so many small pieces.
Yeah. And so you guys know, at least for me personally, from my discussions, I've always been up front. I personally think the fairest thing is a across-the-board percentage increase, and that's what we did last year, 5.3. And our main goal is we wanted to raise base salary, new teacher salary. That increased salaries for everybody. And we also increased our rankings quite significantly by doing that. So there's no easy answers, and the board had significant discussion, and everyone would probably do something a little bit different. And so we're still going to have some discussion here, and there may be a motion. I have a motion. My preference is to do a 3% across the board, which would end up being 1,177 addition to the base. It's twice the amount you're adding, over twice the amount you're recommending to the base, but not a step increase. But everybody would get a 3% across the board, and it's not enough with 8.5% inflation, and we know that inflation is really higher than that when you're talking about gas and groceries and all that stuff. But we also have to continue to look at the future and what our finances are going to look like in the future. And as Chairman's Finance Committee, I try to look at that as much as I can, and the numbers are always changing, and Steve always gives us great numbers. So we want to give as much we can this year, but also thinking about what's coming down the line.
I agree with most everybody said. Like, none of us will probably come to the same conclusions. I think that I really appreciated what I learned from the Ray Team meeting, and even tonight, someone was saying that we, as far as appreciation goes, and I mean that's the reason why we deliberate, and we deliberate hard, and we definitely know that our greatest asset in this district is our staff. And so just want to say, when it comes to buildings and things, that's a different source of money, and it's not the same. It's not that we're choosing things over people. I just wanted to throw that out there. I also think that we have to consider the forecast that we've had, that Steve gave us, and I know that, and largely due that we won't have those ESSER funds in the following years. I think it's somewhere in between these two, but I would rather go with the Ray Team recommendation rather than 3%, because they did the research. Where I'm not in total disclosure, I'm not totally against the Evergreen plan. I can't say totally, but I'm not totally for it either. And I'm not totally for anything. I think we do need to have more. But if we're gonna do anything, I think this recommendation is better than a 3% or even adding money to the base, because we've always deliberated steps and increases, and there's people who have missed steps. And so we can't just keep, until we get that solved, we can't not give a step, I don't think. I mean, there are, like I said, there's parts, I'm just being honest about, there's parts of the Evergreen Plan that I do think that something we need to consider. Because we don't want to not retain teachers, but we just want to be the best place to work, and we want to be competitive. And I don't know that we can ever be the highest paying district ever. And so I know that the people who work in this district love working in this district, and we do want to keep them. But it's going to take all of us sacrifice. So a lot of times I'm looking further down the line saying, man, but if we do what you recommend now, and we can consider what we need to do and look at all of these things, as far as, and maybe have more time to make a decision, than it being so drastic from, we just received this Evergreen report a month ago. And so, but I would think as opposed to, not as opposed to necessarily the Evergreen Plan, but as opposed to 3%, I think the step in the 500 is.
Making a very good one.
I'm not.
Mr. President?
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. As part of your presentation early, you listed several things separate from the salary thing. You know,
Yes.
is it possible that we could divide those things out and as a recommendation from you and vote on that?
Sure.
And then take into the, I guess I'm asking the president if that's the way to do that.
Well, make a motion. You can make a motion. You can take it out. I mean, you can and separate. We need a motion to do this?
You can move.
Isn't that an administrative decision?
You can make the motion. So, let the red team vote.
You guys change their salary, anything in benefits.
Okay, so as
Okay, Dr. Markey informed me that number 4 is on the agenda already to be done by itself. So that wouldn't have to be part of this motion. And so I think we can take the first 3 items.
So do we?
No, there was some questions about the continue virtual conferences, continue to have 2 businesses.
Yeah.
They always have those extra things. We can approve those.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
Do you want me to show you the page and ask you if this is?
Here's a question I have for Ray. You talked about the virtual conferences. You just talked about that's an option, right?
We would like that to be what it is so that everybody's on the same.
So we move away from in-person conferences and
No,
go
it's an
virtual
option.
only? Okay, that's why I asked. It's an option.
But the date.
But
Keep in mind,
everybody would
Dr.
be
Martin, we have
Wednesday
this
and
as
Thursday.
all of the conferences, K-12, would be on the same days, which is fine. It just means the parents may have to may have some conflict if they have an elementary, middle school, and high school kid. That's, with virtual, it's worked out pretty decent for us this past couple years.
So it would be the motion to have the virtual conferences, 2 buildings, IAs incorporated.
yeah, those.
Rate
That's what I was talking about.
Those. That's what you want.
Can we separate those out?
Yeah, you make it.
So you can use that, and you're only doing 1, 2, 3, and 4. You continue to use raising. Forget that lead.
This doesn't have nothing to do with the forgiveness. That's going to be addressed.
Yes, correct. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. President, I would like to make one recommendation.
Well, we have a motion.
I would like to make one recommendation that, of the things that they talked about, would be, one, to continue virtual conference option with all conference pre-K being on Wednesday night and all day Thursday. Continue to have 2 building subs per building. IAs need to have the ability to print from their device. Ray Team recommends continue to use the Ray Team model as the official negotiation team for the Raytown C2 school district. That's a recommendation I would make right now.
Second.
Question.
Motion made in second. Question?
I just need clarity on why this board would recommend continuing to use the rating model. Is that not something?
Every so many years, it just goes back in there that we continue it. Like, it's not something we do every year. I think it's like every 5 years, we just propose to keep it.
But I'm questioning that we have the authority to say continue it. Do we have that authority? Why? Well, I guess my question is, why would we have that authority?
We're a committee of the board.
Board policy, the board has 2 options: to have a negotiating team that is meet and confer, like what Ray Team is, or more of a
Collective bargaining
unit. So currently our policy is that, meet and confer.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, yes.
I was typing it.
So, discussion on motion?
We gave her a lot.
Oh, okay, she's still typing.
She's still typing it up. Because Rachel's awesome.
Well, my discussion is, do we need to make, wouldn't this particular motion would be something that the administration would recommend to us? This has nothing to do with salary and benefits.
Right, is this salary?
It has us,
Working conditions.
It's pretty typical. We just always we always just accept their motion to accept their
But we
proposal.
also need to approve the salary.
Well, I think what we usually do different is a salary.
yeah, we
This
have-
is actual administration conferences.
And
this is a separate motion from.
Yeah, I understand it's gonna be 2 motions.
Yeah.
Right, so we
I'm
need
just
to-
asking about the need for this motion.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bourne, it's a quality of work issue, right? So, because the way that some people's plan times come, and so when we take the rate team survey and people ask us what we can do for them that doesn't cost the district any money. So having those virtual conferences on those 2 days for all staff was an item that we got significant amounts of feedback from that didn't cost the district any money. So we asked two things. What can we do for you monetarily, and what can we do to benefit your quality of life and your work atmosphere? And that's where that came from, about the...
I understand, I guess what my question is that, not that I'm against it, I'm just saying that, as far as the administration usually tells us, makes recommendations in regards to the work and the administration of the work. And so why would we tell them how to do the work? That's not what we're here to do.
We're here to approve either approve or disapprove what the rate team brings to us. This is a section of what they brought to us that we can either approve or not approve. And I recommended that we approve this part of it, and then we'll go back and recommend the part that deals with the salary in a separate motion. This is, as was written up here, is a recommendation, optional motion. This is an option.
So why do you feel the need to separate?
Because we were going to, if we don't approve the full thing, if we just voted on one section, and let's say we didn't approve their salary recommendation, then we said, no, we're going to say no to these things too. Then we got to bring them back. This way we've separated that out. We'll either say yes or no, and then we'll go on to the second part of the recommendation. That's the way I see it. That's what I was trying to do. Take this out of the discussion, if that's legal.
And I am, Mr. President, and I am totally in agreement with the first three recommendations. The model, however, I'm a new board member, and I apologize for my ignorance. I did not know this would be up for vote today, and I have not had an opportunity to review, meet, and confer as opposed to any other options that are available. So I can't in good conscience say yes to the model. I can say yes to the other recommendations, but I can't say yes to something I don't know about.
So how do we separate those?
We don't need to separate, you could just say no.
Yes, I just want to explain
that
I'm not opposed to the other three things. I'm just not ready to vote on the model, and I can just vote no, so.
Well, I think the administration has said they would agree to this. They would recommend this as well, and then so we can take a vote, I guess. There's no further discussion.
Collective bargaining is not allowed in the state of Missouri. Meet and confer is the only option available in the state of Missouri. So we can't have collective bargaining, there's no other option. It's just meet and confer. So we put that in there, like Amy said, every few years, just to have the confirmation from the school board that they agree with our team and they want to keep using us.
And before rate team, admin just made recommendations and the board approved it.
I don't think we're going to try to change that anyway. So we have a motion on it right now, and let's take a vote. Motion carries. All right.
So yeah, we doing this on salary.
That would be the next one.
That would be the next motion.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve Ray Team's proposal to restore one step to the existing salary and $500 to the base for our staff.
Give.
Add, okay, add.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
I just want to say I highly value Ray team and your work. And I know you guys are the ones with your ears to the ground and you bring that to us. And so when you come with the recommendation, it carries weight. And I want you to know that that is what I'm basing my decision on.
And I want you all to know that I hear you loud and clear tonight, and I appreciate you, and I want to show that in this action step.
I'm just going to add my little 2 cents in here. I value the decisions that was brought to us, but I also want to add this little piece to it. There might come a time when we may not be able to do the recommendations that Ray team brings to us, and I also think that we need to brace ourselves for those times, because it might be things that you want or that you even need that the district can't do, that the board can't sign off on. So I just want to put that out there so that we'll be aware, because I believe that when something is forecast, there's great possibility for it to take place, and more of a possibility for it taking place than not. So I just want to say those little words out there so that we carry it into next year with that thought.
I share those same sentiments. When I look at even part of the recommendation that talks about steps being frozen in the past, one of the reasons why I would even look at the Evergreen plan, a portion of it, would be to avoid any situation like that. But I also recognize that we are in this moment. We just have to consider what's been forecasted for us. And I don't want to be part of the board that makes that decision and then be talking about it 10 years later about the need to restore something. And so that's not something that I would definitely, I'd rather make some sacrifices now than to ever have to do that, because that would truly be money lost. All right.
In making your recommendation, did you ever consider the other districts will be having a starting salary, from what we understand, greater than 40,000, and we still will be just a little bit under that?
We're going to be low.
Yeah.
Even with the 500 on the base, we're going to be low.
Yeah.
I know what we did last year, but we were playing catch up from too many years of not adding on the base.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the steps are very important. I was here during years that we lost steps, and we're right you guys are now, where we can't give all of them back. We didn't get ours back, and steps are important. They're a thing that we need to honor and go with. That's all.
So how far are we below 40?
A couple hundred. Well, we're 29.2. If you had 5, we're 29.8.
39,750s will be, so it'll be 250 below.
Yeah, 250 below.
So add 250 more. I mean, you had to check. I mean, I signed the papers. All right.
So that 250 would add, what, another $1 million onto our, just roughly? And that's something we gotta look down the road.
Give me a second.
I know y'all just jesting, right? Y'all
I
just,
wasn't. I really wasn't. I was sort of, but not.
I'm going to make a motion to go back in closed session if we go away from this motion that's on the table.
No, he's just jesting.
If not, and this, we've already got away from what we
What's that?
discussed in closed session.
What is that?
450,000 to add another 250,000.
Which should put us close to 3 million, wouldn't it?
Over.
Motions.
That's what they recommend.
Let's, what's that? Yep, let's vote.
Call for a vote.
No. Motion passes. Next we'll have,
Mr. President,
policy. Go ahead.
I move that the Board of Education approve policies EBBC, lactation support, GCBDA, professional staff, short-term leave, GDBDA, support staff leaves, JGA, corporal discipline, and JGGA, seclusion and restraint. It is really hard to say J's and G's together.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. The policy committee have anything to?
These are all statutes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say we had none.
Yeah.
Motion passed. All right, naming committee.
There's been a request to name the Raytown High School choir room to the Mary Bodney Choral Room, and a request to name the bus barn. So we're gonna bring a naming committee back together to facilitate these requests and bring it back to the board for their discussion. Ralph Martin, I think, is the bus barn. See that in June.
Well, just be another one where we do the exception to the policy.
I'll just know. I think. That's the Ralph Martin.
All right, implement weather days.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve to allow employees not on 248 or 260-day calendars to not make up the 4 inclement weather days used during the 21-22 school year.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
This has been a, now it's important to understand, and the staff needs to know, the board has done this in the past. I don't think we've ever done it before. But there is a cost to this, and it's about $1.3 million. But I think the board and administration recognizes the stress that people have been under over the past 2 years, and this is something that the board is able to do, and thank, well, they haven't voted yet, but we thank the board for considering this.
Why the whole 4 days? Why not 2 days?
Well, because the problem is it's getting this into summer school. Summer school starts on Wednesday, June, help me, 1st, I think, second. So we're coming right after Memorial Day from there. So we're running our staff that will be teaching summer school together in those days. It's a perfect storm to celebrate.
Well, you just confused me by saying, you said the cost of this was $1.3 million.
Well, because we are reducing the teacher's contracted work days from 184 to 180.
The value.
We're not.
The value.
Okay. We're not actually spending an extra.
No. What we're saying is they're worth it. But not a penny more.
Except for 248.
Yes. Yeah, the 248, 260 day counts, they're not working. Their schedules are different.
I guess so.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, I move that the district accept the grant on behalf of the Raytown Challenge Program.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
Just for clarification purposes, Raytown Challenge was awarded a one-time grant of $52,500 towards STEM initiatives as part of Burns and McDonald Battle of Brains because we won.
Just like
but we won. So,
Motion passes. All right.
Move that the board approve the May 9th, 2022 consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right.
under our donations, we have Hernan Career Centers received 23 pairs of work boots from Edwards Workwear, Michael Spencer, for a value of $2,300. Greytown Cheerleaders got a donation from Michelle Netton, I think, for $25. And Wood Chapel United Methodist Church donated 515 books to Laurel Day students.
All right. Thank you for the donations. Consent agenda approved. All right, we're gonna go into recess or finish our closed session.
Mr. President, I move that the board adjourn the regular board. Not yet?
We have to go back into closed.
Let's go back to close.
We're, I got to adjourn the regular board meeting
Then
first.
we'll come out of that and then adjourn this. I think that's it.
I thought we adjourned one meeting and then go into the next meeting. Oh my God, y'all stop changing. Seriously, you did do that.
Last time I tried to do this. I know that.
That'll conclude our meeting for tonight. Thank you all for coming.
8:45.
Yeah.